Hey friends, we are just gearing up for the live stream of the board meeting. Let me pull up a couple things while we wait. Let me add, nope, cancel. I'm just going to add the agenda here. Hold. Let's see. Oh. Let's go to downloads. All right. I'm going to add, it's coming. This is the agenda for today's meeting. So this is exciting. And now let me go pull up on my other screen and see if we can get the board's live stream for today. Here we go. So let's, I'm going to add a screen here. All right, so we're still waiting on the board meeting to start. So it is 15 minutes until the meeting starts, maybe 14 minutes now. And we just got the link to the meeting. Well, and it hasn't even gone out live. This is me just trolling the YouTube pages. So this is exciting. Oh, let me unhide. No, thank you. Not now. I hope everybody's having a good day. Happy Wednesday. Is it getting warmer in Fairfield Harbor? I got some pictures from one of our rental properties yesterday that there are flowers blooming and stuff. So that's exciting. Let's see. Looks like we've got 2 minutes till. I'll keep an eye on this screen. I'm going to actually remove this and let me make sure. I'll stop that screen share. I'm going to add it again. I don't remember. Okay. If I had it to where we could share the audio. All right. So we'll just wait here for that. All right. Tell me what's up. You can use the chat feature. I am going to try to make myself look less like death here. It's 4 a.m. here in Hawaii. Almost like 3:45. And I am a mess. I just take little cat naps. Wednesday is my busiest day for meetings. And I was able to rearrange my schedule for today's live stream. So that's exciting. Anyhow, try to get it together here. I'm keeping an eye on the comments in here as well. I feel like half the time these days I'm getting dressed in the dark. So who knows what I actually look like. And it's very dark here still. But this is no get ready with me video. Nobody needs any tips or tricks that I have to give. And then I have to reassess my situation when the sun comes up. That's exciting. All right, let's see. We've got 10 minutes on the board stream. It looks like they have one person waiting, which is likely me. That's fun. That's fun. I love these lipsticks. They have a light inside so you can see to put on your lipstick in the dark. Super genius people out there. Super genius. All right, well, while we're waiting on that, I will go ahead and say, let's add to the stage. This is the agenda for today. And let's see, what does it look like? I don't want to be that big. Let me make my screen bigger. So here's what we're going to go through. Call to order. We'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. Per usual. Our invocation. Adoption of the agenda. So that's where we have the opportunity to say, yes, this is the agenda, or raise any questions, comments, concerns about the agenda prior to the meeting starting. That's exciting. Then we're going to have the approval of the minutes from the November 2025 meeting minutes that need to be amended, including the executive session and the foreclosure vote to the board. Those seem like really big things to be amending. I have not gone back and looked at that November meeting. I hope somebody has, and just kind of refreshed our memories on what happened before we vote to just amend the minutes. Then we're going to have a board working session update from 12/17. This is so old at this point. We are in the last week of February, going into March, and we are discussing the approval of minutes from sessions that happen in November, December, and January. But alas, we are. And the board working session from December and the board called meeting on January 27th, 2026. Then we'll have Lee's treasurer's report, which is going to be really important today because by Thursday, they're going to review and approve all of the dues numbers for the notices that are going to go out on the 2nd of March, I believe. And it's really important that we pay our dues on time by the May 1st deadline, I believe is what it is. Because if you do not pay your dues by that time, and dues kind of vary throughout the community. I got really great guy yesterday was pinging me and asking me some questions about, hey, I haven't seen anything. Do you know how much dues are going to be? No, none of us do. But you will get your notice next week. And we had a really good conversation. But you have to pay them by the deadline in order to be an eligible voting member, which is going to be important because we have board seats coming open this year. Okay. We need to be able to make some informed decisions on who we vote in, and we need to have everybody be able to vote. Okay. So our treasurer's report is going to be really important to inform the dues decisions that's going to happen by Thursday. Manager's report from Jennifer. We have 3 pieces of unfinished business: the document control procedures, solar lights for the Harbour Club, develop plan and obtain pricing, and then stormwater permit renewal. I will hold my comments about how we should not be looking to obtain pricing on anything else until we have a solid water infrastructure, which there will be plenty of discussion about given the photos that were shown at the January meeting. Then we have the Property Control Committee, resolutions to consolidate bank accounts, resolutions to open 2 new bank accounts. This is important for us. Vote to approve the final annual budget. That's really far down in the new business agenda, given how much unfinished business we're bringing forward, but alas. Creation to account, apologies guys. I can't get rid of this. Creation to account for the, let me pull this up in another file because I can't on my creation to account for the Point Restaurant lift, which we had for the Point. So, oh my gosh, these bags are not stopping today. We had a fundraiser. There was a golf tournament where the proceeds from that golf tournament were to put the lift in. So the fact, I don't know, we should have the money for the lift. I think we met our, what am I trying to say? I think we met the threshold of the amount of money we were trying to raise in order to support that restaurant lift. And then the property control committee. And then on page 2, we have a Q&A forum with President Don Moore, and then adjourn and recess for executive session. So that is, oh, hello. That went way, sorry about that, guys. That was unfortunate for you, and I apologize. Let me see. I've got myself, I was trying to make it where I could see because I don't have my glasses on today. Let's see here. We still are 4 minutes and 32 seconds away from the start of the board meeting. Let me see if I can't fix these bags while we continue to talk. It's a really important time for Fairfield Harbor. We have a lot of things that are happening. I think there are a lot of questions on the table, and I'm hoping that this is what I call put my war paint on. I'm hoping that people are engaged and kind of following. I know that there are some, right? Kind of what I consider the OGs, the old guys. They're on it and kind of keeping track. But I'm hoping, and the guy that I was telling you about that reached out to me to ask some questions about dues and things like that, and I gave him the number to the office. So hopefully he got all of his questions answered. But there are new people here that are getting involved and starting to ask questions and want to figure out how to get involved. And I think that's wonderful. So I hope when we are back stateside, I will catch you at some events. Our favorite events include barbecue. They include, God, it's so early here. What's the game where we're tossing the bean bags from one table to another? That game. There was a really great fundraiser last year for Red Cell Park, and it was, or at Red Cell Park, and that was a lot. Cornhole, that was what I was trying to think of, and it was a lot of fun. So let's see. Oh, better. I can only do so much. This face won't quit some days. Okay, let's just try to add a little color, and then we'll call it a day, okay? And then as the sun comes up behind me, you will get to, it'll highlight this hair situation that's happening, which Jess Zazersky is going to be fixing at Harbor Hair in April in person. So I'm very excited about that because Jess, do not judge me. This hair is a mess. All right, well, that's going to be as good as it gets today. All right. Here we go. I keep wanting to add. All right, 1 minute and 40 seconds. We've talked about the agenda. There's not really much more I can say about that. I will say I have Wednesdays are my day of busiest meetings. Like I am back to back to back till 5 o'clock Eastern time today. I am going to take some time today, though, to record a live stream and go through some of the happenings with the lawsuit that happened in January. While we haven't heard a whole lot, there was a lot of back and forth with the judge from the docket in Craven County. And so I'm going to go through some of that. I'll show folks on that stream how I get to the docket, because this is not just Emily attainable information. This is information available to us all. So I'm going to do that. And then we'll read through the letters that were submitted to the judge in preparation for the upcoming court date. Okay, so we're going to do that later today. Also important, not as high on my priority list as this budget or as today's board meeting. All right, let's remove this from the stage, add this to the stage. All right. Hopefully folks are convening in the room. We have less than 1 minute. All right. While we wait, again, there's only one person waiting, which is concerning. Let me just refresh this and make sure that we're not. No description added. Okay. Maybe post live stream, we will update the description to have the agenda in it. But for right now, we wait. Right now, we wait.
By the Pledge of Allegiance, you all please stand.
All right, let us pray. Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decision, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Face flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we've sent out the agenda. There was a typographical error in it, which I corrected under new business. It was not the Property Control Committee. We're going to talk about it's the Property Evaluation Committee. Other than that, the agenda, I'd like to move that we accept the agenda.
Second.
Second by Lee. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're doing business today,
Okay.
following the agenda that was published.
At this time,
The
I'd
one
like to
typographical error
move that
fixed.
we approve the amended minutes of November 12th. These are to include the executive session and the foreclosure vote from the board.
So moved.
All in favor?
We need a second.
Second.
What
At this time,
changed?
I'd like to,
What are we
that we
approving?
approve the minutes from 12/17 as they're written. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to approve the
What were they?
last board meeting from 1/27 as written. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time I'd like to turn it over to Lee Fawcett for the treasurer's report.
What's that out? No, that's fine. I think everybody can hear me. Yeah? Raise your hand if you cannot hear me. All right, good. All right, we got a long way to go, so I'm going to get started.
This is the treasurer's report. Listen
I'm
up.
going to talk about financial statements. I'm going to talk about final publication of the budget. I'm going to talk about audit briefly. I'm going to talk about bank account structures in some detail. Most of the documents I'm going to refer to have been published previously and will be published again immediately after the conclusion of this meeting, because they are on this flash drive, which I'm going to award to Jennifer right now. I looked at front steps the other day and I realized we had kind of a
and make myself some more
lapse in our proper publication of documents that have been presented in the meetings. So she has the whole file and we'll catch that all up on front steps. Okay, financial statements for the period ending December 31 were prepared by Troon. I always publish an excerpt from that. I don't do any transcription or any analysis, but I knock out a lot of extraneous, I think, detail and present to you the meat of the report. That was published to the community on January 25 as part of the budgeting process. I will ask for a motion from the board to approve that for publication on front steps.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye. Same item, financial statements for the period ending January 31, 2026. That was received by me on February 23rd. Thank you, Bob Broody, who realized my early notes said 26th. An excerpted copy condensed by me, but presented again without commentary. I asked that be published on front steps.
So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, the draft budget. Two big files, February or fiscal year 2026. That was presented to the community on January 28. It is presented here to the board for final approval and publication. Again, there's a draft on front steps. The difference between the draft and what will go out today, there's a typographical error corrected in the operating narrative. The spreadsheets were unaffected. I did a forecast of reserve balances for fiscal year 2026, and that's added as part of the capital section. And when approved, these should all be published on front steps, and the draft edition should be removed. Could I have a motion to take care of that, please?
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye. For budgeting purposes, that forecast of contributions to reserves for the new year, to general reserves, unallocated reserves, I forecasted a contribution of $175,000. As I look at the statements the end of January, I'm comfortable to make that contribution right now. And with a motion to approve, I'll make that transfer prior to year end.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye. All right. This is a little bit of a discussion or narrative for me, at least. I plan to propose an audit for the two fiscal years, fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025. We had an audit for fiscal year 2023, which is complete and is published on front steps. But at this point, we haven't audited anything since then. Our bylaws require an audit every 5 years, but I want to be a little extra careful with these 2 years because there were some irregularities in the first year, which we found as we worked on the budget for the new year, and they've been corrected, but I'm not sure we got everything and we need a firm base for what we're gonna take care of in the 2025 year.
Can I get a clarification?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted a clarification that the irregularities are probably funds that were charged to a wrong account and they're going to a right account. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. I've said that before, but that needs to be emphasized. It wasn't a shortage. It wasn't anything of that sort. It was things that ended up in the wrong place. But I want to make sure we caught it all and it's all been allocated to the right place. And it builds a firmer foundation for the year we're about to finish. The year ended 2/28/2026. That's fiscal year 2025. Contained a conversion of the software by Troon Accounting and a complete reorganization of our chart of accounts. And when I have, and that's two really, really big changes in the structure of our accounting, really big ones. And we need to back audit just to make sure we got it all straight. I'm not claiming there's anything irregular there. It's just simply, we've done two very complicated things to our books and it deserves an audit. So when I have the price of that firm, I'll request board approval to move ahead on it. I expect the total for the 2 years to be in the range of $40,000, just so you know. Okay, we requested a proposal from Wells Fargo, a separate topic. I'm going to start talking about bank account structures. We have shopped several banks for banking services that are tailored to HOAs and POAs. We found several. I won't go through the list. We've talked with a bunch of them, including everybody that we had current banking relations with. In my opinion, fewer bank accounts is always better if they actually show what you're trying to do. A, they're less work at the end of the month when you have to reconcile. B, they're less work through the month when you have to figure out where to post. And C, it's a lot easier to manage fewer bank accounts so they work in your favor.
I think it's
We've
interesting that they're
received
banks.
discussions with, like I said, several good banks. We have an established relationship with Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo, after several requests, finally got to the right people and they gave us a very attractive proposal. What they proposed to us is what I call a sweep account, what they call a zero balance account. Works like this. If there's a mason jar there and a mason jar there and a mason jar there and one there, and there are 14 of them across here, they would represent each of the bank accounts we have today. They don't all have unique purposes. Some of them overlap, and I'm working on cleaning that up a little bit. I'll talk about that in a second. But that mason jar, you put money in when you make a deposit and you write a check on it. How much interest do you make on your checking account, on your personal checking account? Yeah.
I make a lot.
Thank you.
Like
Stand up and
6%.
say that. Everybody get that? That's pretty much what we've
Need a
got.
high yield account.
What we do with a sweep account, it's pretty simple. And all these mason jars across the front here, at the end of the banking day, the bank that manages it comes up to each of these mason jars with a shop vac. And they suck all the dollar bills out of each of those. And that bank account ends the day at zero balance, which is why they're called zero balance accounts. Doesn't show on your statement that way. It's just mechanics behind the scenes. Okay?
Explain why.
Contents of that shop vac get dumped into a big bucket, which earns 3% interest annually, every dime, every day from the day it's deposited. What happens when you write a check? You write a check out of this mason jar right here. It goes out to whoever you send it to, okay? The money's still in the big tub. Doesn't show up here yet because it hasn't been presented. That person cashes it or deposits it, it gets presented back here for payment. The big bucket says, oh, you need some money? Here. Paid right out of there. These transactions happen at the beginning and the end of the day, daily, automatically. We don't have to manage it. Okay? A couple of questions that come up. Could you do a little better on percentage rate? Because I can get 4% on a CD. Yeah, I can. But we'd have to manage it. And whoever's your treasurer after me has to manage it. And you're always going to have some money over in the corner in your uninterest paying reserve so you can pay the bills this month. So that's a lot of work, can be done, and you're going to leave some money in the corner that isn't working for you. This collects every damn dime and puts it to work right away, which is why I'm excited about it. Is it FDIC insured? No, because you're going to have more than the FDIC limit on deposit with Wells. One of my original complaints about the amount we had on deposit with Wells was that it exceeded the FDIC limit. I finally figured out, I'm sorry, I'm a slow learner sometimes. I finally figured out that Wells is the third largest bank in the United States by deposits. So if you're going to worry about the third largest bank in the United States failing, you better get worried about a whole lot of other stuff first. Now, First Colonial or whatever it was on the West Coast that failed a little while back and invoked FDIC is about 5% the size of Wells. And they just got themselves overextended. A little bit of sloppy management.
Maybe they needed.
Personally, I'm comfortable with having my money in the third largest bank in these continental United States, whether it's the first 250 is FDIC insured, but the rest of it is banked by the full faith and credit of Wells Fargo. And I'm comfortable with that. But that's the way that structure works. The existing accounts we have with Wells will stay exactly the same. I'm going to run a little workshop online with all of our users of this information before we flip the switch, just to make sure that everybody understands what a statement's going to look like, what a balance inquiry is going to look like, make sure we understand how to reconcile everything so we don't have hiccups when we turn it over. But turning it over will not involve changing existing account numbers or designations. So I'm asking for board approval to move ahead with converting those accounts to what's called a Wells sweep for our benefit of 3% a year. How much is that, by the way? We'll wait. Should be about $50,000 a year.
Wow.
More in excess of fees.
$50,000 a year.
Are they going to charge us a fee? Yeah, it's going to run about $200 a month. Somewhere less than that. But in excess of that, we should earn about $50,000 a year.
Oh, we should earn $50,000 a year.
I'd like board
higher
approval to
APR.
convert all our Wells Fargo accounts to sweep.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. I have a question down here for clarity on this topic. Is it all right for me to handle questions right now on this?
Yeah, you'd like.
on this topic? Yes,
I
sir.
understand your description about the sweep account, but the $250,000 is what the FDIC covers, am I correct?
You're exactly correct.
Right, so why don't we take the excess of $250,000 and put it in a separate account so it would draw some interest instead of having it not draw interest and be available for potential loss if it's not covered by FDIC?
Because you're putting the dime in the FDIC account and the 90 cents is out where it's not working for you, is the glib answer. We're going to have about $4 million on deposit at our peak. And that is going to be all backed by Wells Fargo, except for the 250. You can partition it apart. You cannot, per FDIC regulations, open 9 accounts with one bank and have them all FDIC insured. The FDIC limit applies per depositor per bank, not per account per bank. And I didn't like that very much when I learned it the first time. You're scowling at me. I scowled even bigger than that. But that's the way it applies. It's not per account per bank. Does that answer it?
So why don't we take that money and put it into another bank then?
Because you don't get it managed the way it needs to be managed. And I'll get into that right now. As soon as we move ahead, because we've got an open motion right now, right?
I thought we voted.
Pastor. Okay.
We voted, right? Yeah, we voted.
As I've been analyzing our accounts, I've found we have done that, exactly that in the past. The problem is those accounts don't get into the mainstream of what we're trying to do. They don't get managed by us, maybe as
What
well.
are we
as
trying to
aggressively
do?
as we
Sorry,
can.
guys, I'm putting my boot on.
My next proposal along this line is going to be to take 2 money market accounts that we have with PNC, which together total about $95,000, close them and deposit them with Wells. They were originally set up to do exactly what you're talking about. They end up getting swept in the corner because they're not part of the mainstream of doing business. And that's the why. I would love to be able to do 9 accounts with Wells at $100,000 a piece, but it just doesn't work that way. Okay, so I'm asking for approval to consolidate 2 additional bank accounts at PNC. They total about $96,498. And
I hate this boot.
they really haven't had much activity except for depositing the $50 contingency collection that we got from the contingency collection last year. They're both earning 0.01% interest right now. They'll earn about 3% in the Wells account. Ask for a motion to approve,
So
please.
moved.
Second. All fair?
That's the contingency fee that we feel like
Can I say
was
something?
erroneously
Yes, sir.
charged
It
to
looks
us
like a lot of it.
in
we've
support
already
of the
decided. We're just
POAs
going through the
backing up
motions
the
here.
lawsuit.
The reason
the new
is that
lawsuit.
Lee has written a very concise and
Hold on, I want to hear this.
intelligent and thoughtful letter to us all, which we've all read. So we're understanding where he's going with this, and any questions that I had, I bothered him last night about. So it's not like we don't, we're just railroading this. We understand what we're doing here.
Lee, tell them about the 5 accounts and 14 accounts and 5 banks.
Yeah.
Tell
I
them-
love that they understand what they're doing here.
Yeah.
When the
Yeah,
primary issue that we all have
When we
is none
started,
of us
we had 14
our
accounts
money
spread across 5 different
that you're
banks.
using understand what you're doing
What I
here.
wanted to do was convert them into a sweep account like I have used in the past, which ducks the FDIC ceiling, but it doesn't really pay very much. And this turns it around and pays you a very good return. And again, if we're worried about the 3rd biggest bank in the United States going under, we really got a lot of other stuff to worry about. The mason jars, by the way, are Mike's fault.
I can understand mason jars.
But he understood it last night, so I thought I'd use it this morning. Okay, we talked about all right. those are all the changes that I'm proposing for banking structure for right now. Your statements will, as they come out month to month, will begin to lose the PNC accounts. They've already showed 2 accounts, one with Coastal and one with Bank of America, which together totaled about $53,000 on deposit, and we're earning 0.01%. But they just been swept off into a corner because they weren't in the mainstream of our banking business. And what I want to do is set this up so that it's not only easy to operate, but it's self-operating if we can. And that's what this achieves. We're going to be implementing a contract review, new topic. I'll handle questions for clarity on this topic, yeah.
How is True involved in this whole banking mason jar?
Troon keeps the accounts for us. They manage the accounts. They do the bookkeeping and the reconciliations, all of it. From the time a dime comes in to us, Troon handles it. I never touch a dime of our money, okay? And one exception, and that is I have signed checks for disbursement for construction of this building. But those are backed by contractor withdrawal requests, which are backed by the construction contract. Other than that, ordinary operating dimes come into Troon, they're deposited by Troon, they're maintained by Troon. Troon reconciles the accounts at month's end from the statements.
I know you had some difficulty receiving the information from True. Has that been
That's
resolved?
hand sensitive
It's getting a lot better.
talking.
I don't think we're quite there yet, but the last one I received on the 23rd, the due date is the 20th. Yeah, almost. They took the weekend away from me, which I like to use to prepare my reports for this group, but we'll live through it. But I commented, I said, you know, I do understand this one well enough now that I can ask a little detailed questions about this and that. So we're getting there.
Thank you.
I had one question over here somewhere.
I was just pointing out the young lady.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Why not consider us a short-term CDs so that large amount of money
That can absolutely be done. Needs to be managed all the time.
will automatically redeposit that which income?
Doesn't work that way. Because you need to keep always ahead of you, how much do you need to spend this period? You can't allow those to roll over. You have to drop them down into a depository account, check the local rates, and figure out how much you need for the next month, 2 months till the next one matures. I've done exactly that for my personal account as laddered CDs. I know exactly how that works. It's not what we need here. What we need is something that runs itself per agreement. Because somebody other than me is going to do this job in the future. And I don't want to have to train them in how to do that. And a qualification for being your treasurer should not necessarily be I've managed CD ladders in the past, my opinion. But that's the answer, why not? Okay. Any other questions on that item? I'm going to move ahead. We're going to be implementing a contract review process. I'll write a policy on this. For all capital expenses and any operating contracts where contractor labor will be used. These will be subject to an appropriation process. If the money's budgeted, it still needs an appropriation step before the contractor goes ahead. What's included in that? The final quote. How much is it going to cost? Final quote. Contractor's certificate of insurance. Contractor's business license in the state of North Carolina. and a federal Form W-9. Because we need all those to legitimately move ahead with the contractor.
We're not getting that now.
I didn't say that. We're not routinely presenting that with every contract that comes in. We are generally getting it right now, but it's not generally being the operative word, okay? But it's not being administered really, really cleanly. And I just want to clean it up. I'll write that and present it later. I just gave Jennifer a flash drive with all the files I'd like to have go out to front steps. I just want to talk about the future a little bit. The budget we just presented, it represents mending some broken fences in my point of view. Some of our earnings targets could be considered aggressive, and we could miss some of them. And I stood that up as a possible risk when I presented the budget. If we don't plan to grow, we don't grow. And if we don't plan to improve, we don't improve. And when we did the budget, I challenged Troon to show us as a target what it takes to bring our golf and restaurant operations to a profitable status. They're trying to use the trajectory that they've developed over the last 6 months and project that forward. Some of the targets look like they might be aggressive. Are we going to forget about them? No. But we need to plan to improve every step of the way. Then, right under that, we need to also plan to prepare for a storm or other emergency. And I've talked about that considerably with the budget presentation. And we need to work to improve revenues from non-dues sources. Things that need action by the board going forward: an increase in builder impact fees. If we do that right, it could be about $40,000, $50,000 a year impact on non-dues revenues. We increased them once and rescinded them. I think they need to go back up. There's, I believe, a general consensus among the members, and I mean the members, that the builders are doing as much damage to our roads and streets and other infrastructure as all of our community combined times 2 or 10. So in my opinion, that's warranted. It's an item that needs work. We need to develop a plan, and the board has worked on gathering some information to generate income from our newly vacated POA offices. That is being worked on. I wouldn't say we're ready to present a plan on it yet, or even the fence around the ballpark. We need to collect the past due assessments from the timeshares. This was brought up as a big, oh my God, this is an iceberg we're about to collide with. Well, it's not nice. It's well over $100,000, but we have reserved for it. It's covered in our reserve for questionable accounts at this point, and we're working to collect it. And in my opinion, we've got better than 50-50 chance of actually collecting some or all of it. Is it going to take some time? Yeah. Is it going to affect us this year? No. Why? Because we already reserved for it. We have a very, very substantial reserve for doubtful accounts on our books. My opinion, probably more than we're ever going to need. It's just me. But we need to collect those monies. They are due to us. We need to continue and complete the review of our insurance coverage. Insurance in the new year is going to save us some money, and it's going to cost us some money. So don't say I ever said it wasn't going to go up. Come on, it's insurance. You all pay your own insurance bills. You know they go up every year. Harbour Club will go up a not insignificant amount because the Philadelphia insurance company that wrote the coverage originally for us and insures literally all of our other property will decline to write wind coverage for this building on the coast. And I don't care if you put it at Broad Creek and 55, it's still on the coast, folks. So don't argue with me about the plat where it says it needs to be. It's still on the coast.
There are lots of
The plan we're going down is that, and
offering wind
Jennifer
and
may
flood
talk
in our
about
area.
this some more, she may not. But the plan we're going down is through Philadelphia, we'll acquire wind coverage on this building through NCJUA. My experience with Citizens, which is the NCJUA in Florida, I'm ready to run for the hills. I'm reassured by both our agent and others I've talked to that NCJUA is a little bit better than Citizens by maybe
North
9
Carolina
million%.
Joint Underwriting Association.
But we're not going to take coverage for the whole building out to NCJUA. And Philadelphia will still be our primary recourse, and then they will administer through NCJUA in our behalf. A lot better situation. We're going to have an increase of about $17,000, if I did the mental math right, on errors and omissions for the board of directors, and that's due to the currently open lawsuit. We're going to have some savings, and I don't know exactly how much this is going to be yet. I didn't see it in the presentation yet, but Jennifer's worked with our agent to do a review, a cross review of the coverage that we carry on our stuff and the coverage that Troon carries on our stuff. I was a little surprised that Troon carries coverage on our stuff, but they do. And it turns out that at least our licensed vehicles are double covered. So since Troon isn't going to charge us any more than they already are, we're going to drop what we're carrying as soon as we confirm that. Probably our mowers and other wheeled vehicles that aren't licensed for use on the road are also double covered. So that would be what in an insurance policy is called inland marine. We'll probably be able to avoid that also this year because of that overlapping coverage. We don't want to leave any gaps, but we don't need double coverage. And that'll be coming up pretty soon for renewal because the policy date is March 1. Yes, sir.
Doesn't have to do with depreciation on vehicles.
Yes, sir.
I should a quick search on NCJUA.
Yes, sir.
Are we going to have a positive impact as a result of that?
Are we going to have what?
A positive impact as a result of that? In other words, taxes come down and we pay whatever, that we have a larger amount of depreciation available to us.
I'm going to say I can't answer that for sure. As a guy who used to run a business myself and take advantage of what is the accountants call Section 179 in the tax code, I used to take liberal use of that, but I never bought a multi-million-dollar building either, okay? It may be to our benefit to not take the whole lump on this building, even if we can. Because right now we're paying, last year we paid that much in taxes. So you can't get them to give it back to you. We're not on withholding. We don't get a refund. Yeah, we're watching that. Have been. And eagerly, but when you get down to zero, it's awfully hard to get any better. Now, what may happen, I cannot put numbers to this. I'm not a tax accountant. I refuse to try to opine on taxes. But what may happen is if we do a really good job and build up our non-dues revenues sufficiently, we may show enough profit that we actually need the depreciation credit. And that's so far off in the weeds that I'm going to stop right there unless you disagree with me. Anybody else have any questions on what we've just covered? I'm going to sit down and shut up. Thank you all.
Did you want to talk about your mason jar for the lift account? Did you want to talk about your mason jar for the lift account?
Oh, yeah, good. We're, in terms of account reorganizations, there will be 2 new accounts created. I know I said I don't want more, but we're going to put 2 on at Wells, okay? One is going to be a very special account. It's still going to participate in the sweep. Still going to be another mason jar down there in front of Don. Wake up, Don. Don is awake, okay.
I'm in rapt attention.
I'm not going there. Be another mason jar way down there. What is it going to be? It's going to be a very specially constructed local deposit, local withdrawal, local check writing account for emergency response. Okay?
What's an emergency response?
An emergency response is when we have an emergency and we need to respond to it.
Example?
A hurricane is a good one.
But I thought we
I don't know if
have
you've ever done
reserve
the
accounts
aftermath of a hurricane. I've done it.
or the,
Everything stops. Traffic lights don't work.
we don't have any
Credit
traffic
card
lights.
payments don't work. Email doesn't work.
Gosh,
Cash
Email
rules.
works.
After Ian, we made phone calls on cell phones before the backup batteries for the cell towers went dead and found 2 chainsaws that we needed. And I drove 55 miles with cash in my hand to buy 2 chainsaws. Why? Because the guy I called that says, I've got them in stock, but my credit card reader doesn't work, had no other way to accept payment. If you have a bad enough storm or a bad enough anything else, you've got to have cash here today. Period. That's what I'm talking about. That's what that account's going to be built for. And that's where that $137,000 is going to go, right there. And it's going to earn 3% every day until we use it.
And that be locked in, that only the emergency would not be available for that, and moving it over to another account.
Not without a vote of the board.
Is that covered?
That's as
I'm
locked
going
as
to
it
pull up the
gets.
budget documents from the annual budget.
All
meeting.
right.
But I thought we already had.
But it's going to be structured to
fine.
be just like that. And that's the way I intend for it to be operated. And that's the way this board will approve its operation. Okay. The other account at the last maybe 2 meetings ago, the board voted to designate the proceeds from the Tunnel to Towers golf tournament to an account to ultimately build a personnel lift over at the Point Restaurant.
I'm pulling it up on another.
And we're going to set another mason jar all the way down by Jennifer to accumulate that money. That'll earn 3% from the day it's deposited. It'll get $7,700 put in it on day 1 because that's how much we earn from that golf tournament. And it will be set up by resolution such that if it doesn't all get used or has no activity for 3 years, it goes back to general revenues, back to your original point. So we hold 2 Tunnel to Towers golf tournaments, and then we and they have an argument and we stop doing it. We got a grace period of 3 years from that time to find another big source of income and redesignate that, but that's going to be there just for that. Okay. Do I need a motion? You're going to do it on resolutions later. Now I'll sit down and shut up.
Jennifer,
Okay, I actually have some important, sad news that a murder happened last night in Fairfield Harbor, and the media wants to come in, and it's not something that I.
Say that again?
A murder happened last night.
Microphone, please.
So I'm just texting you right now, Don.
That made the news.
Okay, it's on.
This is important.
I'm not
Craven
sure.
County posted
there's
this
a little
morning.
slide button up.
I did that.
Is the bottom green?
Bottom is green, yeah. Working, not working. Okay. Before I get into the rest of my report, I just need a board agreement whether news crews can come into the harbor to cover a murder that happened last night on Harbor Coast Drive. Do we want to allow news crews in to cover this story?
Well, you know me, I got to sit and think on it for a while first. I just can't have it sprung on me and then make the decision.
They're at the gate and,
Okay.
and Jada is wondering if we are allowing them in, so I hate to let her know yes or no.
I'm sorry.
There's so
It's being published all over the news right now.
there is a.
That's not the same as letting the news in.
Yeah, there's enough information with the news.
I don't know, so we can
I
legally
just need that
deny them.
guidance, 'cause I don't have a rule about this that I can follow.
I would say at this point, I'm a no.
Yeah, I don't think we need to let them in here.
What are we afraid of? There are a lot of implications here. I don't think we've thought it through, but even if there is no policy, I don't see what's gained by it.
I mean, if they want to meet out by the old POA offices,
That's probably what they'll do. They'll just,
That might be good.
meet somewhere else.
Yeah.
They want to get in front of the house.
there's no reason we need to have news vans coming through our streets and,
Right.
you know.
Let one in, you have to let more.
All right, let me just let them know.
What was the answer?
No.
No, that they can film their news story outside
At
the
this
gate.
point, no.
At this point, no.
If you let one in, you have to let them all in.
Okay.
So it's gonna turn into a circus.
Not a normal day. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to what I've got prepared for you. The dues collection at this point right now is $3,871,738.25. The non-dues number that we have since till yesterday, $437,031.52. And of that number, marinas are not included. Next, we usually cover letters to the board, and we don't have a letter, but Director Watts asked for a suggestion box to be put out, and I ended up finding in our old office, there was an old ballot box that used to be used like in the 80s and 90s. And so we put that in the front of the building, and we did get a suggestion in it. So I'm gonna read that to you, if I can find all my papers, hold on. Okay. Suggestions to the FHPOA. Please stop importing non-native trees that need to be wrapped in environmentally unfriendly plastic. If they need to be wrapped, then they don't belong here. NC has some beautiful native trees. Number 2, how about making an exercise facility using the old POA building? Number 3, we need boat trailer parking close to the launch area or access to the usually empty existing parking lot. The current system is very inconvenient and not a good use of our resources. Thank you for your consideration. That came to you.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure, Dan.
On the tree being wrapped, I'm not following what's being said about that. That they don't want the trees wrapped?
They're just saying not to have trees that require wrapping, that if they were
But
native.
they're here.
Right.
Yeah,
If they, right.
what he's saying is there's native palm trees that don't need to be wrapped. And, you know, these palm trees that we got were imported from Florida, and they're not native to this area, so you have to wrap them when it gets real cold.
Well, my understanding on the palm trees is that they are something called cold heart, and they do have to be wrapped initially for the first few years, and then after that, they can withstand it on their own. So it's not the kind of palm tree that can't withstand any cold ever.
Right.
It's one that can. It's just that they have to be wrapped when they're first planted, first couple years. And that's my understanding.
Neil, would you like to respond back to this suggestion, gentlemen?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
The purpose of this box is to get inputs from the community, not complaints, but great ideas, so that we can work on them and we don't have to think up all ideas ourselves.
I get an update on both sides.
I don't think this is the time right now, but I know that we're going to talk about it later.
We have that a little bit further down.
The next thing I have for you is to approve a gentleman that would like to be considered for the Broad Creek Road Gang, which is normally Bob Grudy's. He's the liaison to the Broad Creek Road Gang. I spoke with the chair of that committee this morning, and they have approved this gentleman. Michael Collins of Home Drive. He's lived here 2 years. He volunteers at dog shelters. He volunteers at Carolina East Medical Center. He has experience with OSHA. He has a master and journeyman electrical license. He was a business owner. Why is he interested in serving as a homeowner here? And for over 40 years in Massachusetts, taking pride in our property is very important to me. And he served on previous boards such as affordable housing, senior housing, and the preservation committee. So if you would be so kind as to approve this gentleman.
Move to approve.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I have another question for you. This building did not have a fax line installed. We can add a fax line, or we can do something called cloud faxing. Both of these will incur a charge. I kind of needed your guidance whether you felt that we should do that with very minimal faxing. We don't do it very often. It's something that we can scan and email a lot. That's what we do also. So it's a cloud fax is $200 a month, a charge, and then we get charged per fax. Of course, when people ask for faxes, we charge them $1 a page. So we make that money back. Yes, Larry.
How many pages do you do a month?
It depends.
You're actually faxing rather than emailing.
I would just say probably 25 or less.
There's a lot cheaper Metrofax.
There are free fax options.
Is one that I use all the time. A lot cheaper than $200 a month.
Okay, so
But we can definitely look at that. Let's look at that
we can.
and see what we can come up with for alternative.
I have a question for clarification. What's the difference, to your understanding, between a fax line and a telephone line?
Zero.
Nothing. Okay. How much would an additional telephone line cost us?
Why would we
I
need to?
have not priced that out. I just knew it would be
I
a
mean,
cost because we don't have, right now, we don't have one. We'd have to
And-
install it.
Would that be through the same, since we're VOIP? I mean, I think if you're going to compare, we need to compare what the cloud cost would be versus what the additional line would be, and then you
Yeah.
can make a reasonable decision on
I was
it.
actually kind of
How
hoping
many
that
lines are currently going into the POA office?
We just have the
One?
voice over IP phones that we have, and then we have
How many different telephone numbers do you have? One?
we have 5 telephone numbers.
Got 5 different telephone numbers. And have you researched the ability to reserve one of those for fax and just have 4?
I have not.
Okay. Is that a
can do that.
possibility?
Yeah, I can do that.
Then
Can,
that
by
would
show of
help.
hands, does anybody show me if you fax, if you get requests that you need to come into the office and fax? Because our thought is that maybe this is kind of a dinosaur
It is.
kind of, and that we don't need it. And,
It's, yeah, the other thing is that there's a little box. It's just, instead of a phone, it's just a little box we plug it, like it'd be the same box that you're using for we have Hosted America, for your home phone to plug into. It'd be the same box. So that's another option we can look at.
this is the cost for the Copy Pro's estimate for the faxing cost. And so
Yeah,
it's a lot. I mean, it's
way too much.
okay. All right, we'll talk about that later then. Next, we are working hard on getting the annual dues billing together and to go out on March 2nd. It will go out through the primary email on each account. So if residents want to be sure that they are receiving the billing, please call us to make sure that we are putting your email as the primary email.
And again, why are we printing the beacon?
Anybody that does
and
not have an
dues
email with us
invoices
will be getting their billing through the
that
mail.
you have to
That's
pay
about 118 people total.
in order
And we are
to
still learning
be
about this building
dues
every
eligible
day.
resident,
The fire
a voting
alarm goes
resident.
off. We are learning about the audio, the video, the rooms, the setups that are most requested. We are learning about the cleaning. We are learning about the doors, the utilities, the costs, the water filtration, the cameras, and the security system. It's a lot. Things are moving every day, moving around every day. We sent out a communication survey a couple weeks ago. We've had more than 530 responses, and the closing date for that survey is on Sunday. We're allowing for the folks that got the survey mailed to them, we're allowing time for them to send those in. We are hiring for positions at the Harbour Point Golf Club and getting some very much needed help from the recruitment department with Troon. So they are doing initial interviews with people that have the credentials that are required and then sending them along, which is great. The Goshen Medical Mobile Clinic is coming on March 6th. We changed that date because we had some poor time with registration. So this is helpful if anybody needed to have a UKG or a blood test, or you just wanted to know your levels for whatever it might be. You could have pre-registered, and then show up at the mobile unit. They would do also COVID, flu, strep tests. They do like flu injections or tetanus or pneumonia. I thought this was going to be a great idea, but we haven't had a great response. So we probably won't be doing this in the future because people probably like their own doctors and they don't need to have a primary care person that's coming in a mobile unit.
Where do we get to sign up? I think maybe that might be part of the problem.
Yeah, we sent that we set that out in the update. So the days that the nurse was here to do the pre-registration,
People
they
don't
had
always read
2
the
of them.
update.
Do they want you to set up that appointment for the mobile unit?
No, you have to come in. So the dates that we had the pre-registration, we announced that, and one of the dates was in the snow.
It's very
We felt like
important
people couldn't get out of their
that
driveway,
our
so we
board
had another date, and then we didn't have very
understand,
many people come on that date.
which is
either.
part of the reason for the survey, right?
So
Why,
we'll see. If we
how
get
people want
more interest, then we certainly
and
would like to
hopefully
provide
some
that.
of our communication strategies will move out. of
So
our-
then, as Lee mentioned, we have been working on insurance
Age of
reviews
technology.
for the coming year. So my end, that looks like a lot of questionnaires about our community and questionnaires that include information on how many rentals we have, how many like Airbnbs we have, because insurance companies are suspect or leery, don't want to take risks if your community has a certain amount of rentals. And so we've been doing a lot of that. I did want to ask the board if the $250 a year for dry storage over by 210 Broad Creek Road by Will's shop, if you were considering increasing that. The suggestion has come in to increase that to $350 a year because $250 is very low. We haven't increased it in several years. So that question has come to me and I'm passing that along to you.
It's
First
increased.
thing I would ask is if you did a survey of other areas around here.
We're lower than everything for yearly, yes. Usually people pay monthly, but we have $250 a year, which you can help me with that, but it's not very much per month.
Plenty.
If you like to talk about this another time, I can get a survey.
What are we
on that stuff.
renting?
Space for RVs, boats, and trailers. We have a very small amount of spots. We rent out space over by the community maintenance yard.
I'd like to just do a survey of right around the area here, see what the local prices are.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I think that we will be talking about this later also, but the NCDEQ permit that we had to renew was sent in January. It was received by NCDEQ and they have sent back their response to extend the permit to 2034. The beacon is going to be delivered by volunteers late next week or early the week of March 9th. And I wanted to make sure that we give a thank you and a shout out to Bob and Chris Revick, who took on the job to be editors of the beacon. And then we have about 37 delivery volunteers that will deliver to brown boxes. If residents don't have a brown box, there will be extra copies that you can pick up at the POA office. And then we're gonna plan on sending out another survey after people have received this newer version of the beacon that's on white, kind of not cardstock or hard paper, but much nicer paper than a newsprint type of paper. And it's gonna be a different kind of size and it's very attractive and it's very bright and cheery.
That's very attractive, but we're not going to send
We've
you
got
these.
two quotes for resurfacing of the tennis courts. That was
I
supposed to
cannot
be
let it lie.
scheduled in the last year, and it did not get done. We are hoping to get that done
When I
just
think
as soon
she
as the
said
weather
They have
gets
100
good to resurface.
that they
We'll
don't
have
even
those
have an
quotes in
email
hand.
address for.
Marketing professionals from Troon are coming the first week in March to check out the competition and our site. They haven't been here. They work for us remotely, doing a lot of the social media and a lot of the flyers and things like that we ask them to help us with. But they're gonna be here on site to see us in person. We are in the midst of still completing the golf course paths, the paving. They have been delayed due to the weather, as you guys know. We do have tournaments coming up in March. I believe there are 3 actually booked in March at the golf course. And I wanted to update you on a little bit about violations. We have AP hearings. Hey, there goes your flash drive. Hold on.
Nice to that.
I got it. So in the AP hearings, the adjudicatory panel has heard about waterfront bulkhead violations, not parking on designated parking areas. We've got trailer violations. We have debris or items left around the house or the sides of the home, and we have visible receptacles. And in the update last week, the Covenants Enforcement Committee put in a three-page explanation on what the violations that are most occurring. And then the one that's a little bit vague is called all lots must be maintained. And what I just talked about debris or items left around the house, or if you have green growth on your siding and things like that, that's really what that has to do with. Or if you have things that are overgrown, that's what that
Green
that's
growth
what that
on
one
your siding?
refers to.
What is that? Or mold, I guess, growth.
And I think that is all I have. The rest I have is for executive session. Are there any questions?
No, I think we need to review some of that
Okay.
that things,
The only thing I was gonna say was, if you talk to somebody who's doing the resurfacing of the golf course, would you ask them to not put the extra dirt in the swale?
Yes.
They've done 2 loads in the swale.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Which
They got
hole?
plenty of flat ground to dump it on, they do not need to
Yeah.
put it in the storm swale.
Agreed.
They need to be doing some backfilling
Yes.
as opposed to destroying that dirt.
They're probably gonna use it somewhere. but
They're
storing
using
the
it.
swale is-
Not cool.
Yeah, no, that's not.
I get it.
Oh, they are using that to backfill when they pave, so that they're gonna be
I get that, and I understand they need to store it, but poor choice.
bad choice, yeah. Agreed.
okay, moving on. We're gonna go to unfinished business. First thing I'd like to talk about is the document retention procedure. I've been working on that. I have
Oh
been
my God, stop.
looking through all the North Carolina statutes to see how long we're required to keep a lot of these records. I've been talking with, or communicating with Hope Carmichael on what needs to be said. So pretty soon, I hope we have the retention procedures documented out. So I'd like to move on to Mike. You want to talk about the lighting?
I'll update you with what I know, but I've been. Thank you. Is it on?
Yep.
You can hear me? Okay, great. Shake your hand. Okay. I've been traveling for about the last 2 weeks, so I really haven't talked with any of my people since then. I can tell you a little bit about what I knew before I left. The solar lights are down to basically 3 options to light up these 2 parking lots. We can either do solar, which is what we looked at to begin with. And the thing with solar is that the panels have a battery issue that could have to be replaced every so often. And they only could be on for so long. We're not sure if we can get them to turn off in the middle of the night. If this building is not occupied past 10:30, we don't want those people having to look at these lights. That's not gonna be very nice for them. So if we can do what could have been done originally. It was just dig up the ground, put the wire down, put the lights in. If it's solar, it has less power, we have to have more lights and less lights. And the idea is we want the lights to come down in a fashion like this, not blast out this way. Again, we don't want our neighbors complaining about that building so lit up, I can't, I can read the newspaper in my bed. So the other option that has been brought up is we can do low power. And there is a pipe in a wall back here that we can get low power through into the ground and perhaps run it underneath the driveway over there. Low power is also limits how much brightness, how much wattage you're going to deliver, and again, you may have to increase units and or go with shorter units and taller units. So there's a lot of discussion that's still going to be talked about, and before it comes to the board. But I would ask the board to be thinking about: do you want to go to a power pole out there and have Titan come in and drop maybe a separate line for this in here? And we're going to have to dig some things up and refix them, which is what I was trying to avoid by going solar, but just I'm not sure an answer. You guys would mull about that, think about it, and then give me an opinion on which way you'd rather go.
Okay.
Or avoid. The parking lot, chairperson on that has been Mark Hittner, and Mark is going in for a knee replacement, I think. So he's going to be out for a while. We did get some information, and Walter was trying to get some dollars and cents, and Walter, that went over my head. I caught it, but I didn't have my finger in my ear, so I don't remember the number. Can you enlighten me?
We're at a conundrum. The original plan, as you know, you put it together, you and me. We were asked roads and streets, which we take care of all the parking lots, anything that needs to be paid. The original plan was to put a boat parking over here on the grassland by the boat ramp, which works beautiful. We put it together, we got a quote, and now we went into the permitting process. we can't get a logical, Ray and I can't get a logical answer. If somebody, whoever did the permits for the building and the parking lot, I don't know who that is.
The Harbour Club did that. And what I
That's
understand,
Walter Littleton.
The area that we're talking
what I understand is that this site has like 60,000 extra square feet that is not being used. And what Ray was suggesting is we contact Harbour Club. We have the 2 grass lots out here. Was it in their plan to pave those in the future or just use them for overflow? If we're gonna pave them, then we're gonna have an issue paving over here without another permit. But we could use some of that 60,000 to do this lot, if that's not in the future. So again, that's gonna be a board decision to take a look at. I will try to get a hold of the Harbour Club folks, see what their original intent was, and let you know.
For everybody in the residents, that was our plan this year, and it's in the budget to do. If we don't need a permit, a new permit, the bid and quote, what we have right now, taking out the trees, the only thing it doesn't cover is signage and adding the foliage that we talked about.
We're gonna put the,
That's not in there, but $35,000 is a pretty good deal. But we have to permit it, and some of you already know because we've discussed it. It goes up to $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay? Because of the size of stone, and we have to put down matting and all that stuff. So I'm praying that we can get it under the old permit.
Well, the permit you're referring to is the CAMA permit.
Right.
Right. So just so everybody's aware of what permit it is, it's from CAMA. So
Yeah. So if we can make that happen with the old permit, God, just do it.
yeah. So that's about all I can tell you right now.
That's our only holdup right now.
So
The other issue is I need to know, maybe you can help me with this, Mike, is how much asphalt inch-wise was put on the lane coming in.
Oh, okay.
Entrance,
Yeah.
going over to the boat ramp. Because when we start pulling that gravel in here, it's gonna put a hell of a load on that parking lot out there. Now, the contractor has agreed to fix whatever there is, and maybe it costs me all, but he'll fix it if it gets torn out.
Thank you.
Moving on. He's done.
yeah. So okay. Next, we're just going to talk real shortly about the stormwater permit for the Gondolier Peninsula. We did receive back the, as Jennifer said, the reply from the DEQ for the permit renewal, which they renewed. There are some work that needs to be done down there. We have some weirs
This
that need
live
to be
stream. We
raised
started about
or
15
lowered
minutes
or,
before the board meeting
to
started.
control the water flow, but we don't have to worry about the $25,000 a day if we didn't get the permit in time. So that is done. It's out of our hair. We're not going to go bankrupt paying.
One of the questions that we're trying to work with, I've also served on Stormwater Committee, is that the Gondolier Peninsula at that end has water in that swale on the inside,
Yes.
not the creek side, but the inside. And we're trying to resolve that problem. And Ray and Patrick went down there and did some elevations, and we found out that some of the weirs are not set correctly and they need to be reset.
There's a surprise.
Yeah. So hopefully when that's finished, that will resolve that water laying in that Gondolier swale continuously. The other end is at the other end of the peninsula. There's some weirs there that need to be, elevations need to be changed to accommodate. They're at a height that they're not doing much, so.
To add to that, CWS, we've requested through the board, Don sent a letter to the president that all the infrastructure under the Gondolier Peninsula be reviewed and scoped.
Yep.
Before we do anything with that, because that's on the 27th.
Right.
We want to get that.
Right. I sent a letter out requesting that they scope that, and Kid
I
Court,
gotta sneeze, hold on.
Columbus,
Novels.
what's the last one?
Novels.
Yeah. So that those three be done right away so that we could get those paved this year. So that's been done.
While you're doing that, we're taking care of the CWS too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with stormwater and the culverts that go underneath our roads, before Walter paves them, we want to replace those culverts because they're original and they're corrugated metal, many of them, and they're just collapsing. The one that's over here in this end of the building, which is a major, coming from here, goes underneath what used to be the old golf course and goes into the inner harbor. It's collapsed 2 or 3 different places. We've got some serious
That was the
culvert
pictures
work that's in the
they
plan.
showed
to
at
get
the
fixed
annual
and
budget
addressed,
meeting
but
in January.
it's a matter of timing with him and for stormwater to get it done.
Yeah, if you're out that way, you know the one by Trade Winds in San Juan this year.
Yeah.
That we ended up with a big pothole right in the middle of the street just because the culvert collapsed. So we're trying to get all those replaced. So, all right, moving on. New business. Property Evaluation Committee. We used to have a Property Evaluation Committee active. It kind of went defunct, and I'd like to bring that back so that we can evaluate what the POA owns. We own like 62 lots last time I counted that are platted lots. And some of those are buildable, some of them are not buildable. Some of them, you might be able to combine 2 of them together to get a buildable space. And the Property Evaluation Committee could go through and see what is sellable and what is not buildable. And the things that are not buildable, we'd like to convert maybe to a trust or something like that, so we can get them off our tax records. We have to pay water to CWS for those every month. So if we can get these lots unloaded and merged into one trust, we can save us some money there. So what I'd like to propose is, you have a question, Mike?
Yeah, I had a short conversation with Coastal Land Trust. You all may know who they are. Next time they're in the area, they're gonna come take a look at what these lots are like, to see if they would fit with them.
Mm-hmm.
And what he requested was a listing of the addresses, so he can do an aerial view of it, see if they're contiguous enough to make an impact for Coastal Land Trust. We would give it to them and it would come off the
Books, yeah. The other thing is, Ray Redness has been looking at the lots and seeing where they fall in the peninsula wetlands area. And I think he's got a lot of that mapped out. So,
yeah, the other thing that we need with stormwater is we need a lot at that end of Caracara and that end of Caracara to get back to the major swale that's behind that whole length from Broad Creek Road all the way to the inner harbor. There's a swale back there and it's full of stuff, full of dumped things and trees growing like this. They're this big that haven't been cleared in 40 years.
yeah, and some of that's
point we're gonna have to get there, but to get to that, we're thinking about maybe identifying lots that we can trade with people that they own, that they may just be sitting on and maybe they're not gonna build now. We can trade a lot, one of these buildable lots for one of those lots, because we're gonna need to own those lots to get back there when we clear that swale out.
Yeah. Now, I did send out the charter to all the board members. I think the charter needs to be updated. I've been working on that. At this point, what I'd like to do is, if nobody has any objections, start taking applications for members for the charter committee. And we'll put something out in the update for members. What we're looking for And it's people, first of all, you can't have a conflict of interest in here.
That's funny.
If you're a realtor, you can't really be selling real estate in Craven County. That's a conflict of interest. But if you are just doing referrals and things like that, that's probably acceptable. We really like those type of people that have real estate knowledge.
I think that's paving the
that
way for
survey
some
knowledge,
real estate agents to be on this
Know anybody
committee.
that has
That's
survey
fine.
knowledge, we like
Who
that on the
have
board. Because
insider
we gotta work with
information that
CAMA
they could then
to see
trade
what are the wetlands and things like
It's
that.
fun.
So if anybody's interested in working on the property evaluation committee, please put in a application, and we'd like to get that committee started up again. Any questions on that?
Are there actually two tasks here? I see it as two tasks. One is to figure out which lots we don't consider buildable. But the other is to isolate those that we do consider buildable, figure out what a reasonable price is, and get going on selling them.
Correct.
I'd like to be sure we maintain focus on both of those issues.
Yes, it's two issues. One is to segregate the lots that are not buildable from the ones that are buildable. And the ones that are buildable, let's get them off our books so we can get some income from them. And
let's get going on selling the ones that can be sold.
Ray was pretty clear about defining lots as not buildable. His interpretation of the CAMA rules is that everything is buildable, but you have to take remediation. And it's the cost of that remediation, what will or will not be allowed by CAMA, whether it's ideal.
Correct.
You know,
I'm hoping they're referring to Ray
plotted,
Redness,
it is
who's
technically
very
buildable.
knowledgeable about this
Correct.
stuff.
So now whether you have to spend $200,000 to make it buildable, that kind of defeats the purpose. That's something we don't want to be in the business of, trying to get these lots into a buildable state. So,
yes. And probably the owners don't either.
yeah, I
No, the
mean,
owners wouldn't do
so
that.
at a point, you're gonna have to just say that that's a write-off. We can't, technically, you can build on it, but
Remediation would be.
yeah, remediation of it is not going to be feasible. So that's where we need the property evaluation to come in and say, we need to get rid of these and these put in the trust or something. So, all right. Lee, I think we covered all these.
At the end of this live stream, I will do
Other
an about
items
on
under,
those NC
your
Coastal
treasurer's
Land
report.
Trust.
As far as I'm concerned, we can move ahead
Okay.
unless you need an official vote to approve the resolutions.
Yeah, let's take an official vote.
All right, we have several
Resolutions
resolutions that
here.
are being voted on.
There, I'll let you read them all.
All right. All right, this is the resolution to create the personnel lift for the Point Restaurant. Whereas the board wishes to provide support to the Harbor Point Golf Club and Tunnel to Towers organization, the board has previously voted to donate the proceeds from the Tunnel to Towers golf tournament to a fund which will provide personnel lifts for the Point Restaurant. Singular or plural, optional on lift. The treasurer is authorized to open a new interest-bearing designated depository account specifically for funds collected and/or donated for this cause. Anybody wants to put a couple of $1,000s in additional, we'll accept check or credit card. No problem, and we won't even charge you the 3%. Treasurer's we will do that, right, Jennifer? In a heartbeat. Treasurer is authorized to deposit any additional funds collected at future such events as designated by the board. Treasurer is authorized to close said account and return all funds to general funds if 3 years elapse without additional donations. I talked about that earlier. Treasurer is authorized to disburse funds from this account in order to fund the construction of personnel lift or lifts for the Point Restaurant as approved by the board. Treasurer, me, or the president, Don Moore, is authorized signatory for this account. Resolved that resolution 2026, this one, was adopted on February 2025 by the FHPOA Board of Directors. I so move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So it's adopted retrospectively?
Next one.
It said the 20th. Today's the 20th.
Authorization for me to create an emergency response fund. The board has voted in its 2026 budget to create an emergency response fund specifically designated to facilitate funding in case of an emergency.
Budget.
Treasurer is authorized to open a new interest-bearing account with local check writing and local deposit withdrawal capabilities for depositing those funds. The treasurer, me, or the president, Don Moore, is authorized as signatory for the account. Resolved that resolution 2026-06 was adopted February 25 by the FHPOA Board of Directors. I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. This is a lot of steps, but they need to be segregated appropriately. And in the minutes, yeah. But also as a resolution because this guides forward usage for these accounts. Let's see. Authorization for signatory for PNC bank accounts. These two bank accounts are just a little messy in terms of the way the signatories have been set up. I just want to clarify it for the bank's purposes, basically. So the treasurer, Wallace Lee Fawcett, is designated to be a signatory for all Fairfield Harbor accounts at PNC Bank, specifically accounts ending in 6676 and account ending in 7676. Figure that one out. With an account balance total of $96,000. Resolved that 2026-07 was adopted on February 25th by the FHPOA Board of Directors. I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Here comes the next step with PNC, authorization to close all accounts at PNC Bank. Board wishes to consolidate banking accounts to achieve competitive rate of return on deposited funds and simplify bookkeeping for the POA. Therefore, the treasurer, me, is authorized to close or direct to be closed because I may need to go back through Troon to close these accounts, depending on how PNC decides they're set up. All accounts currently held at PNC Bank and deposit them so as to achieve a competitive rate of return on deposited funds, consistent with simplifying management and accounting for said funds. Resolved that 2026-08 was adopted today by the Board of Directors. So moved.
Second.
Last.
All in favor?
Aye. Last one, and I get to sit down and shut up. Authorization to instruct Wells Fargo to convert all existing and any new accounts at Wells Fargo to their title is Wells Sweep structure. Board wishes to improve the rate of return on deposited cash and simplify the deposit structure for the POA. Treasurer, me, is instructed to convert all existing and any new accounts at Wells Fargo to a Wells Sweep structure. Resolved, the 2026-09 was adopted today by the Board of Directors. I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Before you sit down, you have on this new business here, vote to approve the final annual budget.
I asked for that vote when I did my presentation.
Okay, great. We got it done. I can check it out.
All right.
I did already.
Okay,
Somebody's keeping score.
that brings us down to the last item there. At this point, we'd like to open for any questions you may have in regards to the items that were presented today. Are there any questions? Go ahead.
Paterno, 810 Home Drive. I was one of those that did get a violation, and it might be safe to say that at this time, it might be, or I should say, behoove the board to go through some of the items that are listed, like in reference to the mold and mildew on the homes that Jennifer stated is in the heat week. As a lot of people are getting these violations and it's winter. Okay, and we shouldn't have to go chasing after phones to call Jennifer or Kathleen to say, I got a violation in which they knew nothing about because there must be a third party in the office pushing send. And just for the record, my home was to be torn down in the month of December, if not early January. And then to receive a violation for the poles on the side of my house that only grew since fall. And, you know, my husband went running out 2 days before an ice storm and a week before the 20 inches of snow that we received. So it might be a good time to reevaluate either timing or they should put out a better letter and say, if in the event this is a seasonal item, you know, call us, we can at least put you in the system that it will be done at a later date, but we are confirming your violation. Another thing, who cut into the wall in the car barn?
What about the cart barn?
Whose storage or cut into the wall in the car barn?
POA uses it for storage,
For what?
equipment, stuff, yeah, items.
That's not an agenda.
Yeah, that's not an agenda item right now. So we will look in, we'll consider your comments on the violation. Okay, any other questions? Ted?
Well, the first thing is on the fax thing, I agree with you, but it's 21st century. Your fax is 25 sheets, don't. I think you need to fix that idea.
For sure.
I'm looking at $10 a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I think it can.
I can't remember the last time I even had forms of fax that I could scan and send and don't go downtown Staples, like it's just, I just need to fix that. You know, there's more things that more relevant. I have 2 other items, but if they're not agenda related, I cannot bring them up. First thing is, well, let me just bring you can tell me to shut up and I'm fine with that. We're going through a transition and unfortunately losing the management team over at the restaurant at the golf course. I know at one point there was a restaurant committee and I know Bob Rudy's not here, but I've been to zero about that all the time. I obviously it's a good idea to advise them. If you're going to go through a big transition again, I would suggest that you consider reestablishing that and kind of help, you know, the new management team with that kind of, because there's been so many good things that they've done that obviously we would like to consider and maybe just.
Yeah. We've been working very closely with the Troon management company and trying to keep what Amanda brought here going. So if that does need to be reestablished, we definitely
Yeah,
do.
again, it's a suggestion, but that's just one thing I'm always thinking. And then the third thing is, and I know this may be coming from Larry, but on the condo side, and I promised the people that trade winds to it, we bring this up today, so everybody's always asking about those gates. We have heard nothing regarding, and I know I've talked to people at Westwinds, I've talked to trade winds, one people, and everybody's starting to get, if we can just get some kind of update, even if there's somebody say, hey, we're gonna have what's happening with the gates on the, you know, on the condo side, that would be great. If we can get information, you know, people are starting to bark. So, yeah, you and I have talked about it, and I know I've talked to Bob about it a little bit, just so you know that I can't be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the gates, it's fairly common knowledge that the original plan was to put the gate at Marina Drive. That fell through based on resistance from the public facing businesses down Marina Drive. And in order to accommodate that and not create further issues for the POA for future, it was determined to not put it there. The other answer, or the best answer,
I missed
to not having it there means we're going to have to put up 3 gates. Probably 1 on Harborside and 2 on Lakeview in order to properly cover the area. The gate equipment that we have, the first gate, if we put the one on Lakeview, it's going to take 2. So the first gate that would go up would be Harborside, and would probably be the one that would be most practical to install first. With recognition, I think we've already got it programmed into our capital expenses for the future, for the other 2 gates. And the one on Harborside should be looked at during this fiscal year, as to making it accomplished.
I appreciate that. Like I said, there's for updates, and I know I passed on some of the things that Bob had mentioned, which was about the 3 gate.
And the other 2, I think I'm correctly in saying that if we look back at the capital for the future, it's in a future year coming down.
Thank you, Larry.
Any other questions? Name and address?
Yes, I'm Mike McHale. I'm chairman of the Democratic Party in Bridge Student number 11 in Fairfield Harbor, number 20. I came here today with Mr. Brunson, who's the past chairman of the Republican Party here in Fairfield, number 20. About a year ago, we started hearing rumors that there was going to be alternate uses for the community center. I contacted Jennifer at that time. She said at that time there were no plans to change anything at the community center. We now hear that we're going to close the community center and use it for storage. You know, it's a great place, alternative use for all the things that we do. Avoid conflicts maybe with this building. The primary reason is that is our precinct, the 20th precinct voting. We contacted the director of Craven County Board of Elections. They're telling us that coming in here is not an option because of the gates, because number 1, limited access to this building because of the gates. Number 2, everyone that comes in here gets their photo taken by camera. Cannot do that at a polling location. So the options are move somewhere else, maybe down at the churches, at Saints Delight Church, or fire station down there. But if we fill that building up with storage equipment, we can't use it for a precinct anymore. I don't think anything over at the activity center is big enough to accommodate, I think, probably 12 voting booths, and machine, and tables for the people to get checked in and out. So we're asking that, you know, we reconsider closing that building and leave it open as an option for the community.
I'm just
Yes,
saying, Mike, I've been in touch with, I think it's Susan.
Susan, yeah.
Yep, and she's actually going to, after this election, she's gonna make a field trip over here and she's gonna see everything.
Yep.
And she's gonna be able to go back and make a decision, but there have been no decisions for that building's use.
I did talk to her last week. She's told me exactly what I was told you guys.
Yeah.
Can't have limited access to home.
So it sounds like there'll be more
TV or otherwise.
after this coming election.
So, I'd like to just say that we have not made any decisions on what that building, we're just doing our due diligence on everything. That is just because it's been looked at does not mean that's what it's going to be used for. That building though is for the use of Fairfield Harbor. The fact that we use it to support the local community, you know, is great. I see it. We can still continue to try to support the local community, but I think the use of the Fairfield Harbor would come first. And
Can I make a comment?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My comment is wonderful that we get the input from the community on what your thoughts are about that. And because it has been discussed, but no decisions have been made. But based on your input, I can assure you that no decision will ever be made by the board, at least from my perspective, that will prevent or or put us in a situation that we're doing something that's not appropriate or not legal. And so before, I have no idea whether the decision will go forward or not, but I can assure you from a security perspective, the limited access would be reviewed, and if that was not allowed to be corrected on that day, then it wouldn't go forward. I mean, we're not gonna make a decision that's gonna go against laws.
I think part of what you're talking about is, you know, where the Hosted America, they took the trees down and made that lot behind the parking lot at the community center.
Sorry.
You know what I'm talking about? It's that fenced in area. So as I understand it, the past board had the agreement with Hosted America that would come back to the POA after they were done with it. And the plan going forward was to put up like about a $400,000 building to get Will out of the flood zone that he's in, so he get his equipment inside and store it there. So as we were talking about possibilities, one of the things that came up was, what if Will used the community center? Would it be big enough for him to get his equipment inside if you put doors on the back end of the building? He has looked at it and said, I think I can make that work if you put some sheds on the outside to store other things. So the board's gonna have to think about it, get input from the community about one, not spending $400,000 for a new building, so we can put equipment in it and use the one that we have that's existing.
Go ahead, Ron.
Hey.
Ron, Ron, if you
My question is on the maintenance equipment, current maintenance sheds that are in that location now. Are those sheds too permanent to be moved to the chain link lot versus building a $400,000 building?
Yeah, and go ahead and state your name just for the.
Ron Brunson, 108.
Okay, great. Ron, basically that building is falling apart down there. It's rotted all around the bottom from previous floods. It could not be moved. It's a
$400,000.
It's a
significant amount of money.
It's a steel building, yes, and that's why we're looking at now. Like I said, none of these. We're just looking at options. You know, we're not trying to say.
The last comment is aside from the Republican precinct needs, which is not just Fairfield Harbor, but it's our precinct with large outside needs. And having our precinct meetings here with the gated community kind of precludes for people from outside Wellwood, Bridgeton, and so forth from coming in and participating in our. That facility, as you know, is also used for Red Cross blood donations. And I don't know what other organizations inside or outside Fairfield Harbor have included people from outside the gate.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, any decision on, you know, moving maintenance equipment, storage sheds, whatever it may have to be inside the existing thing is going to affect a lot of people. And again, does this room have cameras in, or is it just the entry?
You have cameras in the room you're in.
This room does not have a camera.
No.
I don't know how many cameras are in this, but point made by Mike on the cameras and photos.
Does it not?
Yeah,
I thought that was the whole point.
She's gonna take a look at the building, but again, the gate on the front end is a bar for election purposes. And this is one of the few times you're gonna see them in the Republicans.
The whole point of this room was to have AV installed so that they could have recordings from the Hosted America channel that was going to be dedicated to Fairfield Harbor.
No, the use of that building has not been determined yet.
Maybe it's not installed yet.
People have asked to make a gym down there. Whatever. The fire station will still remain the fire station, so that could be still used maybe if we convert that other half to a other usage, the fire station could still be used for boating.
So if we can get the concerns that you have submitted to us in writing, by email, or whatever method, then when we do review it, we'll make sure that's covered. I can promise you we will not move forward if we can't make an arrangement to accommodate everything that's gonna be impacted by moving forward on any particular item. I'm not saying which direction we're going, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But if it were to be that direction, every one of those concerns would be met, I promise.
Yeah, like I said, right now we're just looking at, we're doing our due diligence, so we don't, spending 400,000 for a shed or maintenance building is, it's a big hit on our budget. So
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I said it.
Just one of the issues is the nation bipartisan participation. Alan Merrick, the secretary of the Republican Party, has to vote.
Y'all, they're using Hosted America in that building, and it blacks out more thems than not. This is crazy. I'm just looking, and I don't think it's me. No. Let's see. Maybe I can refresh. Maybe we lost the feed altogether. Are y'all keeping up with this Corey Richards trial? It's crazy. Or maybe they just cut the feed off. Let's see if I go back. All right, well, that's fun, folks. So it's so interesting that we push for Hosted America when we have issues like this. I think every live stream I've done, even when Hosted America had like the temp line over at the other community center, I was always live streaming using my phone as a hotspot. And the two meetings that we've done so far, we've had sporadic issues where the internet is kind of cut out. Let's see. I'm going to go to it from my phone and see. I can always stream my phone. Let's see. Subscriptions. Okay, let's do this. All right, you're going to watch me work in real time. Let me just go to QuickTime Player. Let me attach my... Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's go here. I'm going to try to just present my phone. Can I do this? Also share the audio. Allow. Not the entire screen. Oh, hello. Okay. What does this look like? I'm going to have to see. Hide this. Hide, go away. It's still not. Okay. That's not going to work. It's just repeating. We have got to come up with. Let's stop sharing all of this. Got it. Got it. Remove this. Add to the stage. I am still. Stop screen sharing. I am still getting the black page here. So maybe the board meeting's over. Maybe there was a delay and we just cut it off. I'll keep it up just in case they come back from my phone. It looks like they're still live. But it's just circling on my phone too. So I'm not. Okay. I do think the legality issues of what was brought up for the voting place and how we can't have voting move from the community center to the new office building or the Harbour Club, because everybody is, well, your car is video camera, like, right? Like there's a video of you coming and going from the community, and you cannot have that going into a voting location. So I think that those are very valid points that were being made and being addressed on kind of what is the new use for that community center, and does it make the most sense for it to become a space for Will's equipment and things like that from a maintenance perspective for Fairfield Harbor. I'm still just circling the drain here on here. So anywho, when the live stream stops, it'll stop us. But I did want to bring up, I am going to send Lee an email, and let me just pull it up here. Let me try to share a different screen while we wait. I'll stop sharing this screen maybe and share this screen. Let me pull it up. I'll just upload the budget from our downloads. This is our budget. Sorry guys, it's uploading. It's a really big file, so give it 1 second. It'll pop up here in just a second. While we're waiting on that, I will say that I looked up, they talked about the 60-ish lots that the POA owns and wanting to decide which lots could be whether bundled or made ready for sale and to have homes built on them, and or they mentioned selling some of those lots that were not buildable, or maybe all in bulk, who knows, that selling those to the Coastal Land Trust, if you remember back a few minutes ago in the board meeting. So I looked it up, and I want to read to you about what the Coastal Land Trust is. The North Carolina Coastal Land Trust conserves lands with scenic, recreational, historic, and/or ecological value. Our mission is to enrich our state through the conservation of natural areas and working landscapes, education, and the promotion of good land stewardship in our coastal communities. In short, we save the lands you love along the North Carolina coast. The North Carolina Land Trust is a high-performing accredited regional land trust with a reputation for excellence. Established in 1992, we serve the 31 counties of the coastal plain in North Carolina and save special places in the coastal plains like barrier islands, create nature parks and preserves, protect families and farms, and restore longleaf pine forests. The team includes an engaged and energetic board of directors comprised of leaders in law, biology, finance, philanthropy, business, management, and education. Our talented, experienced, and dedicated staff share a passion for nature and commitment to protecting important natural areas for generations to come. To achieve our mission of conservation, education, and the promotion of good land stewardship, we need an array of voices which reflect the communities where we work and serve, embodied in our board, staff, interns, volunteers, members, partners, program participants. Through awareness and action, we seek to consciously build in and elevate diversity, equity, and inclusion in our work in North Carolina's coastal communities. We are committed to working towards inclusivity for all, regardless of ability, age, cultural background, ethnicity, faith, familial status, gender identity and expression, ideology, language, nationality, race, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, military and/or veteran status, and other dimensions of diversity. We are a nonpartisan, non-adversarial, membership-based, nonprofit conservation organization. Our work is data-driven, science-based, illustrated most dramatically by our adoption of the top 40 list of priority conservation projects that provides the focus of our ambitious conservation plan to save and restore the most imperiled lands in our coastal plain. And if you look at the lands that they own, there's a lot. So I will put a link in this after I exit stage left about what we can expect. Oh, I stopped. Add to stage. Here's the budget. I'm going to ask Lee, if we go through this budget document, this is what was shared in the meeting earlier this year, the annual budget meeting. But I just have some questions. So we talked about a new account today that would have like $137 maybe $1,000 in it for emergency funds. And the questions were asked, like, what is an emergency, right? And it was stated that the emergency would be anything like a hurricane, right? He talked about Ian. We have experienced Florence in our immediate area. Things that if we needed chainsaws, some type of infrastructure changes immediately following an emergency response. But we have in here, I was looking because I was like, but don't we already have, there is an unanticipated, oh, that was restaurant plumbing. But we have, I thought, a unanticipated projects fund. I want to know how that, and it's forecasted, right? We have money forecasted in each of these buckets. What is the difference between an unanticipated project and an unanticipated project that results from an emergency? And how will we decipher which money pulls from? And maybe that's some of the consolidation efforts Lee was talking about, but I'm going to ask him that question. I'm going to send him an email after we adjourn. I do not see that they have come back online. Let's see if I can go back. It's still, they have nobody on the live stream, and it looks as though it says it's still live, but it's obviously not. So anywho, lots of good discussion today, lots of good questions from the audience. Again, I'm going to do a post later today. I'm going to carve out some time today to record an update on the lawsuit. Again, I will tell you how to get to the docket for Craven County so that you can see it. This is not just information available to me, it's available to all. So I'll show you how I navigate to it, the things that I look for as I'm parsing through. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjourn here. We were done with the agenda for today, including all old business and new business, and had opened it up for questions. And then they were going to adjourn for executive session anyway. So I'm going to pause here and I will be back later today to talk about the lawsuit. I hope you have a great day and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.